The member for Dunkley.
Thank you, Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is cutting the coronavirus supplement for nearly 9,500 Australians on JobSeeker in my electorate of Dunkley. Why did the Prime Minister say we cannot allow the lifeline that has been extended to now hold Australia back? Doesn't he realise people want to work and they need this lifeline to continue during the worst recession in nearly a century?
The Treasurer.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker. I say to the member for Dunkley that we've actually extended JobSeeker at a cost of $3.2 billion, providing an additional $150 through the supplement out till the end of March, Mr Speaker. And the reason why we've done this is because we recognise there are people in need, but at the same time the Australian economy is recovering from the once-in-a-century economic shock, Mr Speaker. 1.3 million Australians either lost their jobs or saw their working hours reduced to zero at the start of the crisis. 60% of those are now back in work, and 60% of those are women and 40% are young people of those jobs that have been created, Mr Speaker. And we also know that the effective unemployment rate, which got as high as 15%, has now come down to 9.4%, Mr Speaker, but for Victoria it would be at 7.8%. We also know that the job ads have recovered 3/4 of their fall since the start of this pandemic. We also know that both Treasury and the RBA have updated their labour market forecasts. Originally they were expecting unemployment to peak at around 10% by the end of this year. Now they're saying at around 8%, Mr Speaker. So the fact that 446,000 jobs have been created in the last 4 months shows that the economic recovery is underway. But when it comes to tapering both JobKeeper and JobSeeker, I'd say to the honourable member, don't just listen to the words of her leader, Mr Speaker, also listen to the words of the Shadow Treasurer, who's still yet to ask a question, Mr Speaker. Now, the Shadow Treasurer was asked on the ABC, when Labor talks about wanting to see these programs tapered, how long would that be tapering for? And then the member for Rankin says the government should be looking at this kind of tapering, Mr Speaker. And then the member for Corio, the deputy leader, turned up on Sky, Mr Speaker, and said there needs to be an appropriate tapering of the government's support, Mr Speaker. The tapering, the removal of the government's support is done at a slow enough pace that enables the private sector to bounce back, and that's what we're suggesting, Mr Speaker. And today we've talked about how consumer confidence and business confidence is up, Mr Speaker, and how the jobs are coming back. So those on the other side should stop playing politics and start focusing on the substance of this policy, which is the extension of the JobSeeker payment for another 3 months, supporting Australian jobs and supporting the Australian economy at a cost of $3.2 billion.